So we're bringing on the striking pathway further for coaches, and the purpose of this is to simplify our role. So we would like, as coaches, to be able to identify good strikers, first of all. How do we know a player is a good striker? Maybe these 5 areas could help. First of all, the player has the correct grip, can perform a full swing and a half swing on the left and on the right, has the correct body shape, can strike long and short with accuracy. That could be linked to the number 2 point. And he can strike in match situations, including emergency shots. So the shape is very important. The full swing is very important. Will we start to see shapes like this, like what these guys have? High elbows especially. The swing starts high and the swing finishes high. When players are poking around before training, will we see this? Will we see this in game situations? So the first strike is the stroke of preference. The stroke that players can rely on for power, speed and accuracy. Here we have Tony Kelly under pressure against Cork. He is being marked. Because of his footwork, he finds it that little bit easier than other players, or much easier than other players, to get into his correct body position of knees bent. Hands start high, hands finish high. Weight transfers with the shot. He does a flow in his body. Colm Galvin, same story. Gets onto his left, side straddles his feet, left side, weight on the right foot, knees bent, and full C-shape swing. Tony Kelly against Dublin to score a goal needs full power, speed, and accuracy. So he turns, skips, and strikes the ball to the back of the net. Other situations in Croke Park, 1-7 to 5 points in an All-Ireland semi-final, between the 45 and the 65. Needs full power, looks up, aligns himself, shoulder to the target, hip to the target, side straddles the feet, and scores the ball. In this game, 9 points to 2. Clare were finding it very difficult to score, and Tony needs to rely on his accuracy because they hit a lot of wides. Conor Cleary, the flow and the freedom in the body, the lightness of the body, also very a good sign of a good striker. Again, here we have Jamie Shanahan, looks up. That's more of a half swing because it's just a ball that he plays to Tony Kelly. And what Tony has to do now is he looks up. He has to identify a player. So he sees a free player on the other side of the field, uses his feet again to evade the tackle from Conor Whelan, and gets onto his left foot this time. Strikes the ball across the field to Podge Collins. Very often we don't imagine things like this would happen in a match, that you would get your time to set your body and strike the ball, but that's what Podge does. David McInerney, I like this one. How he sets up an attack. We get a score from this. We don't see the score, but we see the strike from David McInerney. And the ball goes into it. So sometimes we don't have an option of the full strike. Maybe there's nobody in distance to pass to. Maybe I'm too far out to score, or it's too tricky an angle. So then we need a half swing for other scenarios, like the strike pass. So the half swing is normally used to have the strike pass. Here's 1, here's 2, and here's 3 for the score we saw earlier on from Colm Galvin. David McInerney, half swing, just a pass. Conor Cleary, half swing. So we see lots of scenarios about that. There isn't as much in that. The third one is the emergency shot. So what we're looking at is we could name 20 different strokes. Running forward off your right, running forward off your left, running sideways off your right, running away from goal. And we feel this could confuse the issue. Players need different shots for different scenarios. We're seeing a lot of this in hurling now. Very difficult to get room. Very difficult to get a strike away. Eventually the ball breaks to Tom Morrissey. He gets the ball and with an emergency stroke gets his point. He doesn't have time to get his alignment. He doesn't have time to get his full swing. Again here, John Conlon, okay, moves away from the goal to get a little bit of room, and on the swivel strikes the ball. So there's lots of different times when players need to contort their bodies to get the stroke. Cathal McInerney gets 2 identical points, one after the other, against Cork in 2019 in the championship match. So these fellas are good stickmen, good strikers, we can say that. Peter Duggan, to avoid a hook, short hurley, sticks the ball over the bar, could be called a half swing as well. Tony Kelly, sandwiched between the sideline and his marker, and had other options, but takes his score. Really has to contort his body, real conviction, real commitment to the strike, concentration, composure, and again gets a goal here when there's a hook coming from one side and a block coming from another side, and again contorts his body, gets his shot away into the top corner with power, speed and accuracy. Not many players can do this, and at development squad level we'll often see that players will try this as their shot of preference when we don't want this to be their shot of preference. We want this to be the shot of choice. So this is a match that was played in January 2020 between the Clare under-15s and Flannan's under-15s, and it's just interesting to watch the opportunities for a shot of preference, a full swing, or maybe even a half swing sometimes. But players elected not to do it. I think about 40 seconds passes in this clip, which is slowed down so we see it better, and there is no strike. So maybe we got to ask ourselves, are these types of games helping the development of our players in striking? Do we need to modify our games for our players? Are smaller sided games better? Do we have to take away some of the choices the players have, such as hand passing, soloing, etc.? And how would that develop our players as strikers of a ball? Some of this game does mirror what we saw in the game in Croke Park. Very little space, very little time on the ball, and I'm sure that really helps to prepare for those scenarios. But we also have to look at the scenarios that we saw in Croke Park where there was space and there was time and players were able to score and execute their strike. So striking is developed in different ways, and one of those is through repetition, and we'd like players to be able to repeat it in training and in games. So just to simplify it again, the under-14 priority going forward is that all players will have the full swing on their right and left sides. That's all we're looking for. If other players have other strokes, perfect, but by the end of under-14 we'd like all players to be able to strike with a full swing of right and left. If our coaches feel that players aren't at that level, that's okay. We can say it, and then we can see if we can do something about it. These are young players, so we need to have a lot of unopposed and semi-opposed situations. The under-15 priority is to provide opportunities for players to use their full swing and the half swing, okay, through different means. Unopposed skill repetition on the pitch and the wall, intermediate level activities where there's a balance between the desired outcome and the level of challenge. And at under-16 then we would expect a higher level of challenge. We would expect players to have a higher range of shots, but still we should have the knowledge that players who are playing may be struggling with some aspects of striking. Some might be good off one side and not good off another side. Some may be have emergency shots for certain situations and not for other situations. We'll leave you with Mark Rogers, who was on our development squad system, and it was lovely to see him getting this score today for Clare. Thank you very much.